Hi, I'm Warren Sprouse. This is the Bible Forum. I'm here every Sunday night just for you from 8 to 10 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time. We look at life through a biblical lens. We try to solve all the world's problems in 2 hours or less. Of course, we've been doing this now for 17 years, so it's not likely that we're going to solve all those problems any day soon. Christmas is coming. This is being recorded early in December of 2015. As a result, I have set out to write the story of Christmas over a period of time, four videos, 4 YouTubes, each of them taking a different part of the Bible to explain. You see, if you go to the Bible, you're going to go to the New Testament, the Gospels according to Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and you're going to read the story of the birth of Christ and his life and so forth. But as you do that, you're not going to have the whole story, because you're going to read about events surrounding his birth, events surrounding his heritage, family, background, events that have to do with his ministry as it unfolds, and even beyond that. And all of those things are couched in the Bible in other places. And so in a series of 5 messages, I'm going to try to go back to the beginning, back to Genesis, and work our way through. Initially, obviously, we're going to be in the Garden of Eden, and this would be entitled The Fall, the story of Christmas in the Garden of Eden. It's not limited to the birth of Jesus. The story of Christmas finds its genesis in the mind of God before the foundation of the world. The Bible presents the one true God of heaven as an eternal God. Eternal gods do not follow the dictates and decisions of man and nature. An eternal God plans, he purposes, and he fulfills according to a design of his own making. These are summarized in the various theories suggested in what theologians call the decrees of God. And there are several variations of them, each one being unique to a particular set of beliefs about God and about sin and about salvation. All that is to say that Adam's sin was planned. Adam's sin was not just something that happened. God purposed that it should happen. It came about according to the dictates of God's will and purpose. An event that was carefully conceived and controlled so as to glorify God. An event that was necessary to God's eternal plan, which features the blood sacrifice of that body that God prepared. You can read about it in Hebrews chapter 10, verse 5. The birth of the Lord Jesus Christ was carefully constructed in terms of parentage, timing, geography, in order to satisfy this predetermined purpose, will of God. Now, certainly Adam and Eve could not have imagined all this as they experienced the devastation that sin brought upon them. Surely the whole issue must have made sense to them only in terms of their immediate desire for autonomy. The temptation of Satan, cleverly concealed in the mouth of the serpent, strange as that might seem to us today, must have sounded most logical and necessary given their desire for autonomy, to be able to make their own decisions without God telling them everything that they ought to do or ought not to do. But that is the heart of what it means to be a human being. This is what God created human beings to experience. This is what separates human beings from the animal kingdom. We are sentient creatures made in the image of God. We are tripartite in that we have a body, a soul, a spirit. Tripartite in that we have an intellect, an emotion, a will. Adam's sin, the Bible clearly teaches us, was our sin. Adam, fully cognizant of what he was doing and without a sin nature, rebelled against God. And the lesson? The lesson is, given a choice, human beings at their best will reject God in favor of their own desires. How much more those who are now fallen, as the Bible characterizes it, corrupted by sin at the very heart of their being. The lessons of sin and humanity this event teaches are critical in terms of importance. Pondering our condition and circumstance from the limited view of time and space, feeling and imagination, placing ourselves in the way of temptation by visualizing things we should not, giving ourselves over to the suggestion that our thoughts and desires are valid and even necessary, and then never fully considering anything or anyone but ourselves and the immediate desire for social, spiritual, or sensual autonomy. In Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, the story is told. And theologians call this verse the proto-evangelium. Literally the first mention, the first reference in the Bible to the gospel, to the great evangel. In the face of sin, God's response was to make a way of escape. And he did so through the death of a sinless animal, a harmless animal, and the shedding of innocent blood. Later, God will say through the prophet, "Sacrifice and offering thou didst not desire. Ears hast not opened. Burnt offering and sin offering thou hast not required." To highlight the heart desire in blood sacrifices rather than the sacrifice itself, and to elevate that. The epistle to the Hebrews adds in chapter 10, verse 5, "A body thou hast prepared," indicating the sacrifice of Jesus to be the ultimate and final sacrifice of sin. He is that sacrificial lamb that was offered in Genesis in terms of typology. He comes to fulfill it. That body that God prepared through human birth to parents of a particular family of mankind at a specific time in human history, at a particular time of year, in a particular country, by particular means. That's what the story of Christmas is all about. It's not about Christmas trees. It's not about Santa Clauses. And the gifts that we give and receive were originally designed to be a pattern of the gift that God gave when He gave us the Lord Jesus Christ. How do you celebrate Christmas? Do you celebrate it with Bible in hand? Or do you celebrate it through a colorful tree and candy and gifts without once realizing that God gave the greatest of all gifts, and He gave it to whosoever will? Christmas.